Mauritian Prime Minister heads to Japan for African Development Conference and to inaugurate a new embassy in Tokyo. Heavy swell warning remains in force as strong anticyclone brings gusts of up to 70 kilometers an hour and rough seas. Goods vehicle driver detained following fatal accident in L'Escalier last night. Prices of milk, cheese, oil, nappies and baby formula set to drop by up to 20% from 26 August. More details in this bulletin. Tourism recovery continues as arrivals numbers rise over 3% in first 7 months of 2025. In world news, Donald Trump announces talks underway for possible Putin-Zelensky meeting while key differences remain. And in sports news, Shivan Tech takes Women's Tennis Association's Cincinnati title while Alcaraz claims men's crown, setting stage for US Open. Police Superintendent Ashik Jagai was once again questioned yesterday afternoon by FCC investigators in the presence of his lawyer Ralph Gulbul. According to our information, he was confronted with around 20 cases of reward claims linked to drug seizures. Jagai maintains that he followed procedures validating the requests based on reports submitted by Sergeant Yusuf Ali Hussain before forwarding them to police headquarters under the responsibility of ASP Danraz Gangadin. He insists he does not know what happens to the files afterwards and claims he has never personally received any reward money. At the end of his questioning, he was taken back to the Mocha Detention Center. He is scheduled to appear in court on August 21st. All eyes are set to turn to Japan this week with the opening of the International Conference on African Development on August 20. The host nation will welcome African leaders to discuss innovative solutions to the challenges facing the continent. Prime Minister Dr. Navin Ramgoolam will take part in the conference and is expected to hold meetings with officials from the Japan International Cooperation Agency. He will also officially inaugurate Mauritius's new embassy in Tokyo. This 9th edition of the summit will focus on 3 key themes: society, peace and security, and the economy. It is being organized in collaboration with the United Nations, the African Union and private sector partners from participating countries. And moving to weather news, Mauritius remains under a heavy swell warning today as a strong anticyclone to the southwest of the Mascarenes drives unstable weather across the island. Wind gusts could reach up to 70 kilometers per hour, prompting authorities to urge caution on the roads. And for those working at height, with crosswinds expected to pose particular risks. Temperatures are forecast to remain slightly below the seasonal average, while the open sea will be very rough, with swells reaching around 4 meters. The National Weather Service has thus issued a warning to fishermen, pleasure craft users, and the public to avoid going out at sea and to stay away from low-lying beaches in the west and south during high tide. A fatal accident occurred yesterday morning on Savannah Road in L'Escalier near Bassin-Tranche. The collision involved a motorcycle and a goods vehicle. The rider was found unconscious at the scene and was later certified dead by emergency services. An autopsy confirmed that the cause of death was shock due to multiple injuries. Police have detained the driver of the goods vehicle as part of their investigation. 5 essential products are expected to see price cuts from August 26. Milk, cheese, cooking oil, diapers, and baby formula will cost less, with reductions ranging between 4 and 20%, equivalent to 10 rupees to 50 rupees in real terms. To better understand the impact of these price adjustments, our reporter Shailin Yaban spoke to economist Manisha Dukani as well as to consumers.
A government priority, a measure long awaited by consumers, seeing basic products go down in price, especially in a context where the cost of living keeps on rising, with actions that economist Manisha Dukani has thoroughly analyzed.
For me, there's a lot that ought to be done. It's about collaborating with the private sector, namely the distributors, the sellers, and everyone who's part of the value chain, so as to try creating a momentum of solidarity and cooperation to keep the prices of several key products at a much lower level than they are today. Also, we need to look into the details of this price stabilization fund to understand the framework in which the replenishment mechanism will work for its sustainability and above all for the impact it may have in the long run.
But what about the consumer's side? A real sigh of relief or just an illusion? While some see this decision as a measure to welcome with open arms or at least as an encouraging first step, others consider it as a double-edged strategy.
Prices have gone down, yes, but before they dropped, they were up 3 times and now they've fallen by barely even a quarter. I don't think that's fair. They should have gone down a bit more. Also, authorities are not closely monitoring the prices. They only keep on rising just like that, and in the end, we are the ones who have to suffer. It's a measure everyone was waiting for, better late than never. So now that it has come, I hope we all get the chance to benefit from it, especially all the households out there, and we do wish that in the future, again, there will be more price reductions coming our way.
Tu pourrais l'occasion profiter ça, je suis tout bon ménagère qui là.
C'est bien, c'est une bonne initiative. It's good. It's a positive initiative that prices are being reduced, and we are expecting a bit more because the cost of living is quite high these days.
And this measure being in line with the electoral manifesto and with the government's vision over its mandate, it remains to be seen what the future holds for the population.
And moving to tourism-related news, tourist arrivals have increased by more than 3% over the first 7 months of 2025, signaling a recovery after a slow start to the year. In July, usually considered a low season, Mauritius welcomed over 129,000 visitors, more than in November last year, which is part of the high season. Revenues are also following the same trend, with a 6.8% increase in the first quarter compared to that of 2024. Pranav Bihari has more on this report.
Mauritian tourism is reversing the trend this year, 10.2% more foreign visitors between January and July compared to 2024, a surge that contrasts with the dip at the start of 2025, marked by a 6.8% drop in arrivals. The junior Minister of Tourism, Sidney Pierre, calls it an impressive and exceptional performance, especially highlighting the 50.3% increase in arrivals from South Africa for the month of July, results he says that are the fruit of the ministry's campaigns.
We
are on a very good run and various factors can explain this. There are campaigns that we have launched. There is an off-season campaign that we have set up together with the private sector. The minister was in South Africa for a roadshow, which contributes as well, but it's not only that. Each campaign, each mission gives our destination its visibility. Sector revenues have continued to climb in the first half of 2025, reaching 47.4 billion rupees, nearly 3 billion more than during the same period last year. And to keep up this momentum, Sidney Pierre is banking on stronger communication around the attractiveness of Mauritius as a destination.
Une grande partie de nos clientèles qui viennent Maurice, je visite Maurice pour la première fois. Donc,
a large portion of the tourists who come to Mauritius are first-time visitors. They have made their decision based on an advertisement that they have seen. When you come to Mauritius, you go out, you meet the locals, you explore the beauty of the island, the history, the culture, and the hundreds of sites that we have. So we must change the way we present Mauritius. We cannot continue to advertise Mauritius like Maldives, sun and sea. Mauritius is much more than that. We would be able to stand out and win the battle.
Plus que ça. Donc, si nous démarquons de ça, nous pensons nous pour gagner la bataille.
The European market remains the main driver, 490,584 arrivals this year, a rise of 0.9% over 2024, after hosting 1,382,177 tourists last year. Mauritius has already welcomed more than 788,000 visitors between January and July 2025. This could be the year the island finally crosses the symbolic 1.4 million tourist mark.
And it's 9:10. You're listening to RM1, where we move now to international news. Donald Trump has announced on his social network that he held a phone conversation with Vladimir Putin. According to him, a meeting between the Russian president and his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky is being prepared. The US president said he had discussed security guarantees for Ukraine with Moscow to be negotiated with several European countries and the United States. For his part, Volodymyr Zelensky described it as his best discussion with Donald Trump since the war began. The US president promised that Washington will be involved in Ukraine's future security arrangements. However, major differences remain. Donald Trump continues to rule out Ukraine's membership in NATO and the return of Crimea. Zelensky, meanwhile, insists that Russia must not be rewarded for its invasion. And moving to sports, in tennis, Iga Swiatek claimed the WTA 1000 title in Cincinnati, overcoming Italy's Jasmine Paolini in straight sets 7-5, 6-4. After falling behind 0-3 at the start, the Pole kept her composure, turning the match around and not dropping a single set throughout the entire tournament. The win lifts her back up to world number 2, making her the second seed for the upcoming US Open. On the men's side, the Cincinnati final between Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz ended unexpectedly. The world number 1 Italian was forced to retire after just 22 minutes of play, trailing 0-5, with the umpire citing a medical episode that handed Alcaraz his first Cincinnati crown, an unusual but important victory before the US Open. Meanwhile, concern now lingers over Sinner's health just days before the season's final Grand Slam. That's all from me this morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay tuned now to the Intermediate playlist until 10 a.m.